I wish I was talking to you first. I would definitely have gotten the batteries.
Well, what happened, the reason I was going to get self-charging, that's what I was originally thinking of. And then I had a conversation with my machatanista, who was a doctor of audiology. He used to teach at Stern College.
Oh.
Okay? So since he's mishpacha, he says, listen, he says, I used to deal with all of the faculty at YU who had hearing aids. They would come to me for, he says, Rabbi Kanevsky, all the big, he says, and they used to tell me, and would talk about it. And one of the points we came up with is that the problem
On
with
Shabbos.
3-day yontifs,
Oh, forget about 3-day on Shabbos.
3-day yontifs was a big problem. He said, so as a result, he says, I would advise them not to get the rechargeables
I wish I would have.
and instead go with battery. He says, worst,
I want to hold the show looking for you. I went to the butcher today. They cut 3 pieces.
so
One
he's,
on my neck, one on each hand.
so that's the case. So that's the situation. So that's why I went with batteries.
You did good.
So I got my hearing aids cleared through my health provider, my insurance company. And what they did is they send you first year free batteries for a year.
Yeah.
Okay,
You use 312?
yeah. So that's what they do. And the year was over. As the year was ending, I call them up, tell them I need to order. Fine. This is what we charge. I checked, it was less, for the year's worth, it was less than what I would have paid going to Costco. Okay. Okay,
They go all around to get there.
yeah,
Rabbi, I think you're in the wrong spot. Sit here.
you really?
People are wanting to look for coffee.
All right,
Why don't you
move around to the middle.
Go to the middle. I think it's
Okay.
not a real problem.
All right.
Oh. It's colder than the cookies, huh?
Listen, I was lucky to catch Juice, who was able to, nice enough guy to bring it in for us, you know? All right, so I'll be, Ruben, you okay?
Yes.
Mel, you all right?
Cindy, you all right?
No,
You got early?
I was by the doctor.
Huh?
I was wounded in action.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I don't mind having to move. What I mind is nobody told me in advance, and that I had to hear from Juice this morning.
Yeah.
That was the point. The Juice has to, a little more, if there had been a little more communication. And I said that, I went up to David Schaefer. I said, I think we've got a communication problem, that I had to hear from Juice, that I couldn't have the DAF this morning in the library because Sisterhood needed it for the.
But Juice is the word, he's been doing it now on the side.
Listen,
The longest ongoing share in the shul, most important one, we don't have a permanent home. Except it's precedent. It's on the table.
Shows you what's more important to you.
all right. We will get started. We're here. We have a place. Right? I mean, they still don't have a part for the elevator. Otherwise, we could have been up there where there were other kids.
How
All
long does
right.
it take to get a part?
These days, it can take a long time, especially if it comes from China.
It's called the slow boat from China.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get, yeah, okay, learning sponsors. Many for guys that at least we get it, right? So everybody, when you see Jews today, thank him for making sure that we got our hot water and coffee and cookies and everything. Right? Many, okay. Right. Bob, your Gemara should be there. One of those two. It's not the one that's got the library. Right? Okay. Learning sponsors, year of Vodka. Okay. Many friends of Stephen Victor, friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Isaac and Evelyn Blachler in memory of his sister, Chaya Rachel Bas Isser. Friends of Leonie Meisem and Leah Sabra Bas Chanok Zul. 2 months of learning, friends of Milton Miller in honor of second bar mitzvah. A month of learning, Charlie Gelfenstein in memory of his mother, Dacia Gilbas Meir Halevi, and his father, Meir Ben Yaakov. Chaim and Phyllis Reese in memory of his father, Mordechai Ben Yom Tov Lipa. Isaac and Evelyn Blachor in memory of his mother, Sissel Bat Chaim Yitzchak. Ron and Susan Podolsky in memory of his mother, Freivel Bashraga Feivel. Phyllis and Chaim Reese in memory of her mother, her father, Pinchas Ben Abraham. A week of learning by Susan Fruchter Kramer in memory of her father, Moshe Ben Yechiel Michal. That's all I have. May the Shamas Heavenly Crank or feel Vati Shir Shem Latvia, Hoban Israel, a good bench. Okay. Mem Gimel, Amud Aleph, top of the Amud, right?
Right.
Okay. Mishnah. I'm going to quickly review the Mishnah and then we'll go into the Gemara. Okay. There's not a lot of Gemara here, but wait till we get to the next Mishnah. Okay. Right. Okay. Wait. Matnitin. Okay. So the Mishnah on the bottom of Mem Bet, Amud Beis, right? I'd scroll probably what would be 42, 2, right? B2. Right, Hamudar Hanaami Chavero, one who made the vow against another person, right? Lo Yashilenu, he can't lend him. Lo Yishal Mimenu, can't borrow from him. Lo Yilonu, can't lend him money. Lo Yilveh Mimenu, can't borrow money from him. Lo Yimkorlo, can't sell him anything. Lo Yikach Mimenu, cannot buy anything from him.
We have finished this. I'll ask one stupid question.
Okay. All right, go on. Okay, Mem Gimel, top of the Amud. Okay, Ted, you got a place? Yeah. Okay. What?
Down the road.
Okay, that's
I haven't seen this one.
all right. Okay, Bishlema lo yilanu, that's understandable that we say that he can't borrow money. Why? The kamahanile, because he gets benefit from being able to borrow the money. Ella lo yilvehi menu, mai kamahanile. But if you're saying can't borrow from him, okay, all right. If he says that's the case, what benefit is there coming to him? Ubishlema, and we say understand. Lo yilvehi menu, v'lo yikachi menu, the kemehat nele. We can understand that it says clearly that he can't sell to him or he can't buy from him. Okay, clearly there is benefit in that issue, right? Ella rather, lo yish'al himenu. Again, when we ask, when we say, right, that he can't, who has the netter made against them, are they gaining any benefit by borrowing an object? So we might have said, yes, maybe it's a situation where, okay, well, maybe he would have, to rent the same item, he would have been out money. So here by borrowing it from a neighbor, he's not having to pay rental, and therefore, as a result, that's benefit. Okay, so let's see what happens. So the Gemara answers as follows. We said, Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Chanina. He says as follows, Kegon shenadru hana'a zeh mi zeh. No, his suggestion is that it's a situation where each individual made a neder not to benefit from the other individual. Okay, that's what his answer is. Okay, so this is A can't benefit from B can't benefit from A, and therefore that's why you can't borrow
Or
or
sell, or
loan or sell or buy back and forth.
Okay, so the clerk question, I was gonna finish.
Okay, let's Abaye says a different answer. Gzera lish'ol mishum lahash'il. Maybe it's a situation, says Abaye, that the rabbis made a decree not to borrow lest one lend. V'chein bekulhu gezerah. And likewise, therefore, the rabbis made a gezerah on all the other examples as well. Okay, go ahead, Mel. I'm going ahead.
Okay, all right. You have a field, I have a field. We made this agreement, you can't have another. I want, if you want to decide you want to sell, I want that field. How do I get it? And how does he get the field?
Okay, it's a good shaila because number one, we already know the Gemara says to us, one who is a neighbor has
Has
first
first.
rights
Exactly.
at that field.
Right.
Okay, but it may depend on how I worded my neder. If I worded the neder that you can't have benefit from my field, okay, from this field, but remember that was yesterday.
Right.
If you can't have benefit from this field, then what happens? Then so long as I own it, but if I sell it to this gentleman,
You can't. I have first rights. I want
doesn't
the field.
matter, but I have made a neder that you can't benefit from that field.
How can you make,
That you
how can
can't.
you make a neder that goes against halacha?
You don't think it happens?
I know it happens, I'm just saying.
But
doesn't
you're
make
telling me
sense that-
something which I'm just shocked to hear. You're telling me that. So in other words, it doesn't hold water.
Okay, in other words, ideally you have first right.
Ideally only.
No, but because even though it's halacha, the point is I made a neder that you cannot have that field.
So how can you,
So
So in
what
other words,
happens?
you
So
go
you
like
take
you
me
just-
to, so you take me to Basin.
right?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
The only way to solve the problem is to get another chashav to
Right.
monitor the neighbor.
That
That's
would
the
be-
end of it.
so
It's
that
the only
would-
way to do it. But still, even if he does that, he still has to sell it to me first.
Right, so then you have to either get the Basin to empty the neder, or you have to get an Adam Chashuv, a Chacham to
Either way,
empty
I'm
the-
gonna get the field, what you're telling me.
Okay, right, because if that's the halacha, that's the halacha. But what if I had phrased it differently? And I had phrased it again, that this is my field, you cannot buy this field, okay?
Then
Now,
I'm to
then,
say, you can't not sell the field.
then,
How can I tell you something against what is yours? You can't sell the field
can't-
unless you sell it to me.
right, so then, that again, that's the question, they have to deal with the neder first, and then you deal with the halacha,
Okay.
okay? New Mishnah,
If you think we can get away with that.
okay?
you got my vote.
All right, so Matan Eden. Okay, okay, but you realize that the significance of the implication of the Mishnah. I'm saying the neder,
The neder, you also
Okay.
improvise what you said there.
right, so the neder is
There's a
clear,
clause which I can get away with, forcing you not to sell it. to
right,
me,
but
And
you,
forcing you to go
right.
to a different flavor.
Lisa, how can you go against halacha? That's a good question, but the thing is, I control the situation, because I could say $1,000 it's worth, I want 100,000 for it, and I could basically.
No, that,
So
that,
Yeah, you can't do
you
that.
can't do that, because the point is, if I made the neder,
No, forget the nether for a moment.
then you're talking a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different
That's a
ballgame,
different world.
That's difficult.
okay?
I agree.
That's the case, right? Because halachically, as the next door neighbor, he does have halachically first rights for access to that field.
But I
If you
can,
got somebody who buys it for $100,000, you show it to me.
Right?
Because then there's no sort that I have to match if I still want the field.
Right, right.
but I'm
Okay.
not gonna-
All right, our
Maybe you
new
would get
Mishnah.
$100,000 anyway.
Okay, let's go. Amarlo, he says to him. Now notice what is again, as we go through, watch the language of the neder. Okay, that's always what we're saying. It's how the neder is being expressed. Okay, that's going to have important ramifications. Amarlo, I say to my neighbor, Hashileni paradcha, lend me your cow. Amarlo, Ruvain, my neighbor, says to me, Eina pnuya, my cow is not available. Okay? Amar, I come back to Ruvain, and I'm thinking, maybe Ruvain doesn't want to lend me the cow because he's afraid I'm going to use it for plowing. But maybe if I tell him not going to use it for plowing, I really need it because my cow is sick and I need it for milking. Okay, so what do? I'm now saying to Reuven, who's the owner of the cow that I want to borrow, Konam, okay, Shadai Shani Choreshba. Okay, I make a vow that it's enough that I am not going to use the
Sadi, my
Sadi.
field.
It's Konam Sadi Shani Choreshba. I make a vow that I'm saying I'm not going to use the cow for plowing. Okay,
My field, on this.
on this
my
field, right? So the
Forever.
implication being, maybe that's going to change his mind because he was prohibiting me to borrow the cow because he was thinking I'm going to use it for plowing. But if I tell him I'm making a vow that I won't use it for plowing on this field, now Reuven has to think, oh, Green isn't going to use the cow to plow on this field. Maybe he's thinking of going to do it his other field. Okay, let's see. Le'olam im hayad darko lachrosh. If his intent was clearly to use the cow to plow, hu asur v'chol adam mutarim. Then that individual, by my making the vow, I'm prohibited to use that cow whatsoever for plowing. But Sid, who wants to borrow the cow for him plow, he can do so. Okay? However, v'im ein darko lachrosh. But if it's not my intent whatsoever to use the cow for plowing, right?
If the
Right? Yeah.
owner of the field normally plows his
Right.
own field,
We'll get to that.
that's
Okay,
ain't
right.
but he
V'im ein
doesn't, he
darko
hires
lachrosh.
people.
But if it's not his intent or his
He doesn't
ongoing
normally-
custom, right?
Right,
Ongoing practice, okay, to plow,
himself, but he
right?
hires other
Hu
people.
v'chol adam asurim. Then the use of the cow whatsoever for any plowing by anyone is forbidden. Okay, let's go on. New piece. Hamudar hana'a mechavaro ve'ein lo ma yochal. Okay, now the Mishnah goes into another detail. One makes a vow. Okay, Ruvain says, I don't want any benefit from Green, but he sees Green does not have enough food to eat. Okay, what happens? What does he do? Holech eitzelach and by the way, remember we had this
We had
Mishnah. Okay, he goes to his local storekeeper, who some say he has to regularly visit. Others say no, he doesn't have to be his regular customer. Okay, va'omer ish ploni noder mimeni hana'ah va'aini yodea ma'aseh. So and so has taken a vow not to benefit from me, but I don't know what to do, knowing that he doesn't have enough food to eat. Right? V'hu noten lo, the storekeeper gives the food. Uba v'notel mizeh, and the storekeeper goes back and then collects it from the person who wants to help out, okay, the situation. Or another example, Haya beito livnot. He has a house that has to be built. Gidro ligdor. He has a fence that has to be put up. Sadehu liktsor. He has a field that needs harvesting. Holech etzel hapoalim. He can go, in other words, again, I'll pick on Reuven. Reuven can go to his workers, v'omer, and say to them, Ish ploni mudar mimeni hana'ah. So-and-so has taken a vow from not to benefit from me. Ve'eni yodea ma'aseh. And I don't know what to do. Vehem osim imo. And they can go, the workers, uba'in v'notlin sachar mizeh. They can go and do whatever that kind of work is, either build the house, set up the field, harvest the field, set up the fence, and then they would get paid from the person who directed them to do so.
As long as you don't tell them directly to do it. In
Correct.
other words, what he's saying is.
Indirectly,
Indirect.
right? That's what he's saying.
Was it Shliach Shalom to my side?
Hayum mahalchin b'derech. Let's take another example.
Yeah, because he's not telling them to do it.
He's not a. It's
He never said
indirect.
do it.
He didn't say
the
do
guy
it.
understood.
He just said to him, you know what? I know that
He's telling them to work.
Right.
so-and-so needs a ride home today.
Yeah, it's like Shabbos,
Okay.
you say it's dark in here.
All right, that kind of thing. Okay, another case brought in the Mishnah. Hayu mahalchin b'derech. Now, we've got two people walking down the road, one of whom has taken a vow not to benefit from the other. Okay? Ve'ein lo ma yochal. And the person who took the vow not to benefit, okay, doesn't have enough food to eat. Okay? What does the other person do? Notein la'acher l'shum matana. He can give food to a third party who can then give it to the other individual. Or vahala mutarlo. And this one, the third party, it's permitted to give it to him. And the other person is permitted to receive it from the third party. Okay?
As long as he's giving up ownership.
Okay? Im eini mahem acher. Notice what the Mishnah continues with. But if there's no third party available, okay, what happens? Maniach al hasela or al hagader v'omer harei hein mufkarin. What does he say? I put it down on this stone, or I put it on a fence, and I say it's hefker, right? L'chol mi sheyichpotz, for anyone who wants it, and therefore vahala notein va'ochel, and the other individual who had taken the vow of not benefiting, right, can go ahead and take it and eat it. V'Rabbi Yossi oser. But Rabbi Yossi forbids it. Okay? Now, I'm going to remind us that we saw already that Rabbi Yossi has a statement. We saw it early in the Gemara, Ein Vitur, right? Right? There is no, and we didn't like Art Scroll's translation of indulgences, because I told you, to me, it smacked too much of the Catholic Church. Okay? But no benefit whatsoever can be gained by the person. So that could be the rationale that Rabbi Yossi is saying it's forbidden here, but now we have to see what the Gemara says.
In all of these cases.
Exactly. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, his first question, after this long Mishnah, Ma'itama de Rabbi Yossi, what's Rabbi Yossi's reasoning? Kasavar hefker kematana. Mustn't he not be of the opinion that when one makes something hefker, ownerless, okay, it can be given as a gift?
It's like
Right?
giving,
Like
it's
a
like
gift?
giving it as a gift.
Mamatana ada ate mirishut notain l'rishut mekabel. Whereas a gift, okay, when it goes from the property or the domain of the giver to the property or domain of the receiver, it could always still be taken back. Af hefker, so likewise hefker, making it ownerless. Ada ate the reshut zoche, until it goes into the domain of the one who merits it, okay, that could still be taken back. And so Rabbi Yossi, he's not using his argument of the vitor here. He's using a different argument, namely, it's still until it actually is part of the property or domain of the second individual, it still could be taken back even when it's hefker, because once the person makes it hefker, he can always claim it again.
Right.
That's the point, okay? So what happens? Let's go on. Meitiv Rav Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba, however, challenges and asks the question, V'halo noten v'ochel. But our Mishnah clearly said that the other individual can take it and eat. V'Rabbi Yossi oser. But here Mishnah continued and then said Rabbi Yossi says it's forbidden. The Gemara continues. Amar Rabbi Yossi. What does he say? Ematai. At what point is it forbidden? Bizman shenadru kodem lahefkero. Right? It was at the time when he made the neder, when the person made the neder, before he designated that foodstuffs as hefker. Let's go on to the next amud. Aval im haya hefkero kodem lenidro. But were to he have made it ownerless before the neder was made, hare ze mutar, then it would be permitted for that person to take it.
Didn't own it at that.
How can
So
you
he
make the
couldn't make the
neder?
neder.
What?
Since he didn't own it,
How do you make the neder on it? He's right.
What do you mean?
if he gave it away and then he makes the neder, he doesn't own it, so therefore he can do it. He can take it.
Okay. Ve'im amart. Okay, so now let's go on. Ve'im amarta. And if you're going to say da'ate the reshut zoche, that at that point, once he makes it hefker, okay, it's as if like it's in the reshus, the domain of the one who can merit it. Mali nidro kodem lehefker, mali hefkero kodem lenidro. What difference does it make if you say once it leaves the owner and then it's potentially to the person who wants to pick it up? What difference does it make if you make the neder first before making it ownerless, or you make it ownerless and then make the neder? That's the question. Okay? The answer is hu meitivla v'hu mishanela. He raised the question and he answers the question. Kol hanoder, when everyone makes the vow, ein da'ato al ma shehifkir. I'm going to say that when one makes it the vow, it does not include, he doesn't have in mind that for which he was going to be making hefker. Okay? So that's one suggestion that was made.
So what does that mean?
He doesn't have it in mind. In other words, I'm selling my apartment, right? But there is certain furniture that I know that I'm not going to be taking with me to that new apartment for whatever reason. Okay, I don't like it anymore. It doesn't fit, whatever. Okay, so somebody comes in and says to me, you know what? I'd like to buy that. Okay, since I didn't originally have it in mind, right? So that's the point. Okay, so in this case too, since they're implying that since he had in mind to make it ownerless, okay, it's not included in anything that would be forbidden to that person, okay, when the vow was made.
Are you making the furniture ownerless?
No. Okay. Meitiv Rav. Okay? Right? I can tell you that because I actually had somebody come to my apartment last night and ask about furniture. Okay? Metiv Rabba. Okay, Rabba actually now answers. He's not happy with that answer, that previous answer, that one excludes mentally what you're going to be making hefker from your domain, and therefore that situation.
Is that Rabbi Yossi's answer?
No, this is Rava trying to give an answer. Miktsatan, the Rishon, the Chulan l'sheni. Rishon kana, sheni lo kana. He says, let's say we have a parallel situation where there's a seriously ill person, and that person decides to give away their possessions. He gives some possessions to person number one. He gives all of the other possessions to person number two. Okay? What happens? Right? Right here. All right? So that's what he says. Who motiv right? But who umishene le kol hanodeh, right? Ein da'ato al mashahifti, right? So here's Rava then. Miktsatan, some of the possessions, the Rishon, he gave to person number one. Vikulan l'sheni, but he gave all of his possessions.
All the remaining.
Okay, no, all of it,
That's the
including what he had given to
That's-
person one. Let's see. Let's see.
That's the
That's
court's
the
question.
problem. That's the
court's-
problem.
That's the court's question.
Okay, what happens in that situation? Okay, notice what happens. He says, Rishon kana, sheni lo kana. The first person acquires the initial items that were given to him, but the second person does not require it. So therefore, that's the question. How can you say then the person doesn't have it in mind? He had both sets of possessions in mind, both what he gave to the first person and what he gave to the second person, because clearly the end statement of the halacha is that the first person does acquire. Okay,
Second person can't acquire the first person's set.
that's the point. Ela amar Rava, but rather Rava says, Hainu ta'amad Rabbi Yossi. This is the reasoning why Rabbi Yossi is forbidding in that example.
Can he change his mind?
We'll see. We'll see. Gzera mishum matnat beit charon. Okay, it is a decree that was made based on the example of the situation of matnat beit charon, the gift of beit in the situation of beit charon. Now, to understand what that reference is, and again, remember, I've tried to point out that at times the Gemara cites the case and reminds us what it was. At other times, it assumes that you're so familiar with the case that all they have to do is, like remember the Alamo kind of thing. Okay? Now, if those who have Art Scroll, look on 43B2, note number 14. Okay? All right? You've got the entire story of Beit Charon. Okay? I'm not going to read it out to you, but I'm just going to tell you the essence of it. Okay? A son decided that he didn't want somebody to benefit from his item, but the son was in other words, didn't want his father to benefit from his things. But the son was making a wedding for his son. Okay? But the grandson, wait a second, but the groom wanted his grandfather to benefit and come to the wedding. Okay? So therefore, when the son made the vow, okay, he made it in such a language that it really wasn't wasn't a real valid, truthful vow. It was a subterfuge. Okay, and in that situation, the rabbis decided that wasn't appropriate. Okay, because it was a subterfuge simply to allow the grandfather to come to the grandson's chasana.
What did he actually say?
Wouldn't have been easier for him to just go to a based in?
No, because the rabbis, because it wasn't a valid vow. That's their argument was, you're not matir the vow because it wasn't a valid vow lechatchila.
Would it take up too much time to say what he said? What was the vow? What
No,
did he actually
it
say?
didn't say, the art scroll doesn't give the
He doesn't
text,
give the vow.
no, but that was the situation.
A certain person has prohibited his father.
Doesn't have a good
from having
relationship.
benefit.
Right,
That's the vow.
that was the vow.
For him to just go to a based and say, I want to get rid of this vow, my father can come.
No, because Avi, he admitted, even if they brought him to the Beis Din, he admitted that the vow was done on subterfuge. And it,
But giving it to somebody else as a matana, that he.
but so what, so if you don't want to call that subterfuge, it's still, right. So the point is, they decided in that case, the vow was applied. Okay,
Excuse me, Rabbi, we're
Yeah.
talking about the wrong vow. The vow I'm talking about is how the son says he doesn't want the father to have any benefit.
Yeah.
That's the vow that should be,
right, that should have been, right, that one would,
You don't need subterfuge or.
right, right.
Okay, now I got it.
Then you would have, right. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so that was the example of Matnat Beit Chori. Okay, right. Tanya. Okay, now I'm just going to go a little bit. Tanya, Hamafkir et Sadehu, Kol Shlosha Yamim, Yachol Lachzor Bo. One who makes his land ownerless has the opportunity within 3 days to claim it back. Right? Okay, now, hold on. Okay, Mikan ve'elach ein yachol lachzor. From then on, he can't, the owner who made it ownerless can't claim it back. The implication being, one would have assumed that he would have, that if he realized, oh, what did I do? You know, that night, he made it ownerless, and that night he realized, oh, what did I do? Next morning, he has charata.
But what if somebody took it before? you-
Ah, right? So what happens? Okay, that's where they're gonna go on tomorrow. Amar tehei sadeh zo mufkarin liyom echad l'shabbat echad l'chodesh echad l'shana echad l'shvu echad. Okay, etc., etc., etc. So that's the question. What happens if he says, puts a time limit on when that hefker? All right, and then, see, so we'll look at that
In other
tomorrow.
words, not the 3 days, halacha, but he has some time.
Right,
Because they have a.
okay,
We'll get back to where we belong.
God willing. All right, what happened?
Rabbi, do you think this is-
I would say.